Tuesdays with Tawana. Yeah. What's going on? Good to be in the building on today. Good to spend some time with community on today. Yes, I always look forward to Tuesdays, for we are in the midst of a pandemic, and I just love community. What's going on, Mother Carolyn? How are you feeling? I'm glad you made it on today. Yes. This day comes with a lot of stuff, a lot of celebration, a lot of sorrow, a lot of concern, a lot of things going on. And we got 30 minutes together to chop it up. Both my mamas are in the house today. What an honor. Yes. Y'all don't understand. These two amazing divine women have filled such a huge void in my life. Most of you know, or if you're joining us for the first time, may not have heard this story, but my mom died in 1993 when I was 23 years old. And, at 23, you're just learning, adulting. You're just learning what it is to be a woman. In my case, what it is to be a woman. And just throughout the years, the divine has blessed me with such beautiful people to help me along the way. And it didn't come with any mistakes on my part and any missteps, but they loved me anyhow. So I am so grateful. Hey, Jan. Yes, hello, and happy Black History Month to you as well. Hey, brother. Good to see you. Glad you can join us this week. Missed you on last week, but I understand. And I'm grateful you are here this week. Yes, we are beginning Black History Month. And this is a time to truly accentuate and truly enliven our experience in the Black diaspora. Although Black history and Black celebration is 365, 24/7. Because without us, this world wouldn't exist. Without us, this nation would not exist. Without us, we would not have lights. We would not have brain surgeons. We wouldn't understand what a heart transplant. We would not be here today if it weren't for those Black people, all of us together. Hey, my sister, the Reverend Brandy Jasmine Mamitzrayam is in the building today. Always an honor to have you and your beautiful presence here. Because Black History Month, because we get to just show up and show out big time, even more so than we do during the other 11 months out of the year. So, hey, Tanisha, I'm going to shout you out in a minute, so be prepared to put something in the text. Yes, the family is there. I'm so grateful. Rosemary, my beautiful sister, is in the building today. Oh, so happy you could join on today. I have some beautiful people oh my goodness. Y'all really trying to make me cry today. The Dr. Charles Dorsey is in the building from the Dorsey Group. Rosemary Allen, Dr. Rosemary Allen, from the Institute of Racial Equity and Excellence. We got Tanisha in the building, who works in education and who is a caregiver. We got Reverend Brandy, who is a pastor, who is a scholar, who is a mother. We have my brother, who is retired and living his best life and always contributing to this broadcast in an amazing way. We got Jan in the building, who has such a loving spirit and a beautiful smile, and her energy just adds so much value to this broadcast. So why do we do what we do? Right? Why do I mention these people? Why do I insert all of these beautiful people into this narrative? Because this is about building community and lifting each other up and really honoring who we are and who we be and how we come in to this place. We got beautiful Julie in the building, who stayed committed stays committed. And she is going to be part of this she inspired me for part of this conversation on today. So let's get it popping. Let's chop it up. Yes, it is Black History Month, and it's a few things that I want to lift up that is always speaking to Black history, Black prowess, Black divinity, Black existence, Black futurism, just everything blackety, black, black, black. And of course, we can't start this broadcast without just pausing and honoring those who have gone before us, whether it's those ancestors like Sojourner Truth or my parents, or it's those who have died by suicide. If you see scrolling across the top of my screen is the number for the domestic violence hotline and for the suicide prevention lifeline. So I see a lot of posts, check on your strong people, check on your friends, check on your people. I get it. And I truly believe that. Sometimes when you say, I see you, or you just send a text, I love you, or you send a text, I was just thinking about you, you need something, or you send some flowers, or you send a meal, or whatever it is. All of that is a part of building relationships and building community. Because can I just tell you, if someone was to call me right now and say, T, you all right? My response might be yes, when I'm not, because I don't feel like talking, or I don't feel like engaging about my situation or my circumstance. So it's can I just go a little deeper? Can I push us a little further? When we check in on our people, check in with our people, see beyond what you see, hear beyond what you hear, and truly engage and connect with folk to a place that will truly bring out whatever is going on in one's world. Not to say that it will avoid death by suicide, but we will make sure by any means necessary that we are loving on our beloveds and making sure that they understand that they are loved and they are honored and their voice is needed in this world. Their being is needed. Your being is needed in this world. If there's anybody who is watching this broadcast who is even contemplating death by suicide, you are loved. You are divine. You are needed in this world, and there is help and love and support for you in this place. Hey, my sister. Greetings, Sister Sunshine. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, as we honor Black History Month, we've been through a lot of stuff, and we are going through a lot of stuff right now. And I was reflecting on, I watched the Janet Jackson special, the documentary, and one of her song Rhythm Nation really tipped the scales, if you will, toward this pop culture that was now really speaking truth to power, that was really naming the ills of this world and really calling it out in a space where we're dancing, we're learning all the steps and having a good time. But if you really listen to the words is really talking about the plight that we have to face right now. But if we look back and we think about Marvin Gaye, and then if we go a step back and we listen to or watch the dancing of those who were dancing in areas and passing for white. Why can't I think of her name right now? It just slipped my mind. Or we even go back to the Negro Council of Women, the National Negro Council of Women with Mary McLeod Bethune or Ida B. And we're still fighting over the same issues. It's just evolving in a different way. And so we keep calling on community, hoping that community will rise up, hoping that those of the Black diaspora will find a way to come together with all of our differences, but come together through our language and through our culture to really fight the good fight and fight against the Mitch McConnells of the world who had the nerve to say African Americans and Americans as if Black people aren't Americans, or other people that I'm not even going to give them the honor to name them on this divine show, but who talk about nominating a Black woman to the Supreme Court is insulting and it's injustice because we're only 6% of whatever. I don't even know what statistics he was spewing out, but not understanding that the Supreme Court is supposed to be fully represented by those who live in this country. And even if you don't represent them from a cultural standpoint, you are representing from a liberating standpoint. You are representing from a life-giving standpoint. You are representing from a justice standpoint. You are representing all and not marginalizing and oppressing and trying to take control over women's bodies and not passing civil rights and human rights and racial justice laws that need to prevail in this country because we are dying from the ills of oppression and marginalization. So for him to say that it's affirmative action at its best, this is not affirmative action. This is a matter of fact. This is divine action. This is action that should have happened. We've waited 200 plus years for something like this to happen. It has been white men for so long up until recent years. And let me talk about that for a minute. Hey, Rodney. Good to see you, Brother Bullock. Tanisha says that, yes, we are not surrounded by people who are and still feeling, we are not surrounded by people and still feeling alone. Something about being presently absent is even more dangerous for those struggling. Be present. Thank you. Thank you for saying that, Tanisha. We must be present and we must build relationships. Dorsey says, and it's still white men. So let's talk about that for a minute, because my beloved friend Julie is on, and she participated and she experienced our facing racism experience. And as I grow and evolve, right? I don't preach the way I used to preach when I was 38 years old. I don't use binary, or I do my very best not to use binary language like he or she. I'll use beloved unless I know your pronoun. I don't name God as he. I say God or divine or spirit. I don't try to humanize or put God in this box of a pronoun, right? So and that has evolved, because as I grow, I hope that my knowledge will expand and my experience with others and other cultures and other spaces and other places will expand. I hope that my mind and my heart and my soul will be more compassionate, more loving, because I'm learning so much more. I'm meeting people where they are. They're meeting me where I am, and we're able to come together and have that epistemological curiosity that we talked about months ago, where I'm not judging you, but I'm curious. Why am I curious? Because I want to know more about you so that we can grow together, so that we can do this thing together. Dorsey says, this voice is so important. Men have to acknowledge our privilege. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll go even a step further. White men, because that's the founding fathers and beyond. It's been white men. We have our first woman and woman of color as vice president of the United States. First. We're still doing firsts? Really? Are we really still doing that? So as I evolve, as I grow, as I pay attention to what's going on around me, as I realize that this life is not just for me, but it's for community, it's for my children, it's for my grandson, it's for my siblings, it's for those who have gone before me, it's for those who will come after me. So with Julie experiencing facing racism as an identified white woman, when I talk about white thought or and sometimes I'll say white people, but my intention is white thought and white supremacist thinking, because there are some people who aren't white and don't identify as white, but still have oppressive thoughts, still have racist thoughts, still have marginalizing thoughts, still have dehumanizing thoughts. So they fall into that category. Just like if you see number 45 on TV at one of his crazy press conferences, which I don't understand why we are still giving. Anyway, free speech, free speech, free speech. Tawana, come back. You're about to go down a rabbit hole. So you'll see in the background a few strategically placed people that look like me that says blacks for number 45. First of all, I don't like the term blacks. I think it dehumanizes who I am as a black woman. I'm a black person. We are black people. We are not the blacks. We are not some subject that you can just define and push aside and just dehumanize us. We are human beings of the black diaspora. Mother Carolyn says, yes, we are still doing first in this world and in this church. And it's so sad. So sad. So, okay, I digress. So I don't like the blacks. I don't like that. You're Latina, you're Latino, you're Chicana, you're Chicano, you're a Chicano people, you are a Chicano person, you of Latin descent. All of those things humanize the collective experience versus just putting us aside as a subject or a thing, like just a thing, like the blacks, like the book or the phone. I'm not an inanimate object, right? So when we think about how facing racism centers black people and the black experience and really shares in dialogue with white people and others who may have had this white thought, because this is what our nation has taught us about individualism, about male white privilege, about patriarchy, about misogyny, about misogynoir, the hate of black women. Misogyny is the dislike for black for women in general. Patriarchy is when we center men, period. We have no regard for women, period. So just to break down some of those definitions. But when we have those thoughts, and they tend to be universal thoughts, and people who are taught that, that's all they know. So we come in and we're like, no, that's a microaggression. Yeah, that's what that's called. That's not a good thing. Or that's implicit bias. No, it's not a good thing. That's something that you have been taught and you live out, and it ends up hurting others. It ends up degrading others. It ends up demeaning others. So it is my hope that as we are building community, we are expanding our minds and our hearts and our souls to not only honor who we are, knowing who we are, honoring who we are, loving who we are, believing in who we are, standing up for who we are, while we teach people how to love us. I can't teach you how to love me if I don't love myself. I can't give what I don't have. I can't teach what I don't know. So we come together as community so that we learn these things. Facing racism is not only for those who are stuck and steeped in whiteness and this white supremacist thought. It is also for Black people and for people of color who don't understand. I think I told this a while ago, but it's worthy of repeating again. A 70-year-old Black man came up to me after a facing racism session with tears flowing down his eyes and said, Tawana, Reverend Tawana, for 70 years, I have lived with this hurt, these little stabs, this pain. And today I can finally name it as a microaggression. And I can call it out. And when I see it, I no longer have to deal with those little stabs. I no longer have to deal with that hurt. Julie says, you're a fantastic teacher, and I'm always learning from you and others. And we learn from you as well, Julie, because you're in the room asking the hard questions and being inquisitive, having that epistemological curiosity, trying to understand what it is, what it is that you can do as a white person that can then be a comrade, not just an ally, but we do need allies sometimes. Sometimes we need bystanders to just do that recording, because the police they're not going to approach you. But sometimes we need you on the sidelines talking to the police sideways, because they're not going to do, the likelihood of them doing something to you is slim to none. Now, I'm not going to say that they're not going to do it, because we have white people that have marched and up until today that'll go to jail for us because they're speaking truth to power. But it's really about this thought, this mindset, and then our thoughts become our actions, because that's all we know. The language is all we know. So we got to move beyond that and evolve into a space and place that is loving, that is life-giving, that is affirming, that sees you and sees another, even in the midst of differences, seeing each other. So for this Black History Month, Jade says, glory to God that he no longer has the pain. Yes, healing is real and it sets free. It sets us free. This is why healing happens in community. Healing doesn't happen in this individual space and place. Healing happens in community so that we can be free. And what does community look like? All different cultures coming together to build community. Culture is one thing. A shared culture is beautiful. I don't have to share everybody's culture, but I have an opportunity to honor it and to acknowledge it and to learn more about it. I may not understand why my Islamic brothers pray 5 times a day. So my epistemological curiosity will then get together with a brother or sister who studies the Islamic faith to find out why. What can I glean from that? How can I learn? How can I help you help me? Right? Or even with, not understanding, Black people and their experiences, or, how cooking a meal is so important and having family dinner is so important. What does that come from? Our diet, what does that come from? Right? So in this Black History Month, it is my hope, yes, we're going to post great pioneers. We're gonna post great current leaders. We're gonna post and promote the young people of the future. Love it. Here for everything blackity black, black, black. Here for all of it. And I hope that it brings us together in this teachable moment where we're called to understand our culture. We are called to honor our culture. We are called to acknowledge and respect and uplift and see it as the divine culture that we are, the divine people that we are, the divine contributions that we have given, the divine resilience that we have withstood over time, that we are, resilient. And I hope that it will be exemplified so that others will then be resilient for the good, because we have some people out there that are dead set against black people and black people surviving. And I ain't done a damn thing to near none of y'all. So for anyone to look at me any differently than a human being is dead wrong. You just out of pocket for that one, because it's your racism, it's your white supremacy, it's your white supremacist thought, it's your white power that causes you to think that way. Because what did they say during the insurrection that number 45 endorsed? They said that they are not going to take our power away from us, whether it was Jewish people or people of Jewish descent, black people, Latino people, Latina people, Chicano. They're not going to take our power. I don't want your power. I got my own power. I got my own power up here. You just ain't recognize it. Because if you can't see the power that I have, because I'm still here. I'm still here because of my ancestors who fought and fought long and hard for me to be here. I'm still here because of the resilience of my parents. I'm still here because of the resilience of my community. I'm still here because of the brilliance of my community. I'm still here because we are still fighting through systems that are trying to demean us and erase us. They're trying to take our history out of the schools because white people don't want to feel, white people who have white dominant thought don't want to feel uncomfortable because you don't want to be called out on your stuff. You don't want to have to remember that it was your great 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 grandfather that had us in shackles or beat us or killed us or raped us. You don't want to own up to that. So you want to take that out of the schools. They just took another book out of the school talking about the Holocaust. Really? So you're going to just take out everything that is non-white to appease yourself and to hold on to some false sense of power? Not happening. Not happening. Because we are going to find a way. We don't need you to create space for us to teach and preach. We've been co-creators all this time, so we're just going to level up. The challenge is we got to stop leveling up after they have tried to level up. We got to be at the forefront and set the atmosphere and set the tone. So when they even think about leveling up, they're like, oh, but they already opened all these schools, and what about us? Or, you know, they're in leadership and they're on the Supreme Court and they're in political leadership and they're teachers and principals and doctors and they own the sanitation company and they're executives in, you know, whatever. We've already done it. They're going to blink and be like, how did that happen? So one thing I want to leave with you before we go, I had an opportunity to attend a live. Thank you, Sister Jade. Appreciate you. Rodney said, hallelujah, tell it. The truth is real. Yes, sir. Whew. This is when I miss church. Because sometimes you just got to get a good shout in, right? You got to get a good clap, get that shouting music going on where it's authentic and it's real and the spirit is just welling up in you because you just need to release. You need God to pour in whatever, however it happens, and there's a celebration going on because we are still here. We are here to celebrate another Black History Month. We are still here, still fighting the good fight. We are still here speaking truth to power. We are still here loving one another despite what's going on in the world. When they tell us that we're not even human beings, we are still here living and loving and serving and being and doing and creating. We are still here. So I want to leave you with this. I talked about the evolution of language and how my language has expanded because of my experience. And talking about beloveds and not necessarily this binary world, and really honoring another in the midst of their differences. I also just want to reiterate the importance of building relationship during these trying times, these lonely times, times that can be lonely, can be very dark, can be very disheartening. Please keep the suicide prevention lifeline in your phone, whether it's for yourself or for others. Please keep the domestic violence hotline in your phone, whether it's for yourself or for others. You just might help create a space to save a life. Talking about saving a life, my beautiful, beautiful little sister, Tanisha Alexander, is on the line. We have prayed for her husband, Reggie. I had an opportunity to witness both of them live on Facebook. He is in the process of healing. He is doing well. But Tanisha noted something, and this is something that in Black History Month I want to leave with all of you, but particularly because it's not a cultural thing for us, particularly for my Black beloveds. One, being a donor, beautiful. It's the gift that keeps on giving. I'm even a donor with all of my stuff on my driver's license. I am a donor, and I also let my family know because of the advice from Tanisha that I am a donor. You gotta let you gotta you it would your family must be on board with you being a donor in order for you to be an organ donor if anything should happen to you. Because even though it says organ donor or donor on your driver's license, you must take some extra steps to make sure that everyone is on board so that that donor the process can happen. Because if your family is not on board, it will not happen, and we'll probably end up losing two lives: the lives of the person that wanted to be the donor and the life of the person that could have received some life-giving organs, whether it's a lung, a kidney, a liver, and in Tanisha and Reggie's case, a heart. So just remember, if you can, be a donor, be an organ donor. Yeah. And I'll leave you with this. Tanisha said, yes, she's affirming. Yes, you have to have a conversation with your loved ones. Also, I've been very busy over the last couple of days getting some things in order. I've already had life insurance by the grace of God, because now with a pre-existing condition, it would be very difficult and almost impossible for me to get life insurance. So I do have life insurance. I also, there are other ways for you to save and to make sure that things are taken care of once you leave this side of life, so that your family does not have to fight or scramble or lose a home or have to pay for a funeral. There are other ways to save. There are other ways to invest. There are other ways to do those things to make sure that your family is cared for and not having to take on the burden of any financial responsibilities. They're already grieving the loss of a loved one. So please make sure you handle your business. During this Black History Month, that is my challenge to you. And we'll talk about this every Tuesday. Just a reminder for you to get your affairs in order so that your family is not left behind, not only grieving, but now they have to, make sure a trust, a living will, what a bank account, either put your children on your bank account or have a will so it says where your $50 is going. Amen. So that there is no conflict and problems, because we know that grief just brings up a lot of loving emotions, and sometimes those emotions are misconstrued and it causes strife in the family. So let's read some comments. Oh, Tanisha was saying even eyes and skin, things that you can as a donor, every part can be used at some point in time, because you never know the person in need, what they have gone through. Mother Carolyn said, thank you for making organ donation real and the need to talk with loved ones. And yes, Tanisha, I know that you'll be talking on live on once a week, I think, for the month of February. So if you can share that information at some point in the chat where we can plug in, Tamika says having an advanced directive, that's it, for healthcare is also important, and to keep it on file and note your donor status there as well. Advanced directives, so important. I'm getting an attorney now to get that done. I'm confessing because 5 years ago I was diagnosed with cancer and I should have had this done a long time ago. And by the grace of God, I'm still here, and I am not going to take that for granted. Dr. Rose said, make sure you have a medical power of attorney, living will, etc., so that your family knows your wishes. Because if you lay it out, ain't no arguing. You ain't got to fight over it. Tamika says, my brother is still with us here today because of a kidney donation. My nephew, the music that you hear at the beginning of this podcast is my nephew. He created that. Yes, he created that, and he is still here creating. Tony posted her, I think this is the name of her Facebook page, where she will be going live once a week. So let me see if I missed anyone else. Advanced directives. Yeah. Oh, my brother. Let's see what he said. Despite the persistent rumors that racism in the United States ended with segregation, white people in this country continue to willfully separate themselves from people of color. Absolutely. And you know what, Larry? That's right. If they want to separate themselves from this divine beauty, all of this blackness, all of these people of color, fine. We have to come together and just build and build collectively, collective responsibility. Because I'm not going to be where love is not being served. I'm not going to be where I'm not wanted. So that's where community comes into play, and we got to create our own. That's it. So that's my offering for Black History Month. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for chiming in, because this is truly about community. Thank you for taking out 40 minutes of your day to spend time with me on Tuesdays with Tawana. Again, I'm Rev T, your host and your curator. This will be reposted on the Tuesdays with Tawana Facebook page, and it'll be converted to a podcast. So it'll be on LinkedIn, it'll be on Twitter. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, well, we're not really supporting Spotify right now because of what happened with Joe Rogan, but we'll probably talk about that next week. I didn't want that negative energy on the first day of Black History Month. So I love y'all to the moon and beyond. Thank you for being here and spending time with me, and for contributing to the conversation, because this is about building community one episode at a time. I love y'all so much. I'm out. Later.